In January of 2012, the Auditor General released a special report entitled The Misuse of Public Funds. Inside of that report, there was a section that highlighted, and I quote, inappropriate use of public funds for payment of personal legal expenses, end quote. The Auditor General examined the Progressive Labor Party government's use of funds to pay for a legal action taken after forged checks which attempted to implicate a sitting premier and minister in a corruption scandal were found in government files. I repeat, there were forged checks that were placed inside of Bermuda government files. Following her review, the Auditor General said the following, and I quote, the key issue here is that public funds were used to initiate a private legal action which is inappropriate and a direct violation of financial instructions. Financial Instruction 3.5 provides that, and I quote, government funds or property should only be used for government purposes and must not be used for personal reasons, end quote. Further, Financial Instructions 10.4 places the onus and the responsibility on the accounting officer to ensure, and I quote again, that government funds are not used for personal gain or profit. The Auditor General then went on to say, there is no statutory provision for the underwriting by the government of the legal costs of a minister, servant, or agent suing in a private civil action. We therefore considered any such expenditure to be improper and unjustified. On Monday, August 17th of this year, Minister Bob Richards answered a parliamentary question posed to him in the House of Assembly, where, in confirming to the people of Bermuda that he was using their tax dollars to launch a personal lawsuit in his own name against the president of the Bermuda Public Services Union, the Minister of Finance said the following, and I quote, in line with the Public Accounts Committee recommendation included in their report of June 14th, 2014 on the inappropriate use of public funds for payment of personal legal expenses, the Cabinet has provided its support for the civil action taken by myself as the Minister of Finance against the President of the Bermuda Public Services Union, end quote. Members of the media and the public may not recall the recommendations made, but as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I am familiar with those recommendations and would like to remind the public of what the Public Accounts Committee actually said. The report gave the following recommendation, and I quote again from the 2014 report, which said, the PAC recommends that the government examine amending financial instructions to allow for the Cabinet to support a civil action taken on behalf of a minister against anyone who defames and damages the reputation or credibility of the minister while he or she is carrying out her duties. The Public Accounts Committee also recommends that any amendment to financial instructions make it clear that any proceeds from such action revert to the government of Bermuda, end quote. It is clear that the Auditor General considers private lawsuits initiated with government funds to be a violation of financial instructions, and I repeat, in where the Auditor General said that there is no statutory provision for the underwriting by government of the legal costs of a minister or civil servant suing in a private civil action. To the best of our knowledge, financial instructions have not been modified since the Public Accounts recommendation was made, and therefore, the government is acting in contravention of financial instructions by approving this expenditure of taxpayer funds for the minister's private legal action. This is a clear violation of financial instructions, and I would expect the same zeal from the Office of the Auditor General in dealing with this matter of the hurt feelings of Minister Bob Richards as the office gave to the matter of forged checks being placed in official government files. Thank you. Party Leader.
I'd like to thank the Deputy Opposition Leader and Shadow Minister of Finance for his remarks, and good afternoon to the media, and good afternoon to members of the Progressive Labor Party. The Bermuda Progressive Labor Party today joins with the Bermuda Trade Union Congress in condemning and opposing the use of taxpayer funds to pay for what we consider as an act of cowardly political intimidation against the president of the BPSU, Mr. Jason Hayward. There rightly exists concern that an OBA government that told our seniors that, in quote, money does not grow on trees, and whom slashed the education and scholarship budgets, have found the money to pay high legal fees to silence a member of civil society. These actions, in our opinion, will be used to victimize the BPSU and intimidate others from speaking out against the actions of the Dunkley administration. The use of intimidation and bullying tactics to silence dissent is not new in Bermuda. This latest use of the courts is simply a return to the dark days of yesteryear and has no place in any modern, sophisticated jurisdiction. It certainly has no place in 21st century Bermuda. Yet the misuse of virtually unlimited taxpayer funds by the One Bermuda Alliance to target and destroy those who disagree with or speak out against them is a particularly low and repugnant approach to governance. In a normal society, where the press corps will lead in ensuring transparency and accountability of the government of the day, and in a normal society where the voters and citizens have the freedom to express satisfaction or dissatisfaction of a government's actions, the current environment would accurately be described as a path towards censorship and totalitarianism. What we are witnessing is the silence of the watchdogs, whose responsibility is to guard the principles of good governance. The Auditor General's office that loudly and vociferously opposed the use of taxpayer funds for a serious case under the Progressive Labor Party, where individuals attempted to frame the then Premier and a cabinet minister for corruption, the Auditor General has been silent. The governor, supposedly the final check and balance against government corruption, lack of transparency, and dictatorial action, has been silent for reasons only the United Kingdom government can explain. Suffice it to say that it may be time to consider having a watchdog for the watchdogs. When the courts were first used to target members of the PLP, many of us stood silent. Some of us thought that those who had been targeted had somehow brought this victimization upon themselves and held other uncharitable, erroneous notions. We in the Progressive Labor Party will not make that type of mistake. The Bermuda Progressive Labor Party stands with the Bermuda Trade Union Congress and the workers of Bermuda because we believe in a Bermuda for Bermudians that are treated fairly and with decency and dignity. We have entered a dark chapter in Bermuda's history, a chapter that can only be closed if we, the people of Bermuda, remember that our unity is our strength. In the past, our unity overcame the wealth, power, and influence of those who sought to keep Bermuda in the dark ages. Yesterday, they targeted Mark Dean and David Brett. Today, it is Brother Jason Hayward. Who will be next? At this stage, it can be any voter in this country who may publicly question the words and deeds of the Dunkley administration. Regardless of who that person may be, it represents one person too many and sets Bermuda on a path to further instability. After all, Bermuda is not another world, and recent history indicates that such government actions lead to equal and opposite reactions from the people. This is an international norm, that equal and opposite reaction. With the economic and social challenges we collectively face, the requirements of honest, prudent government is needed now more than ever. To the people of Bermuda, on this Labor Day weekend, we, as with all peoples around the world, are going to be faced with a future choice. And that choice is one of freedom or control by your government. Our future, like others, is dependent on the choice we make. Choose wisely. Thank you.